I'm Luke Barnatt. I'm 25 years old. I'm 6-0, and I've just come off the Ultimate Fighter 17, and I fight for the UFC.
Yeah. So what was the Ultimate Fighter 17 like?
I mean, it was a mixed bag, like a mixed experience. It's lots of good times, met loads of amazing people, but you know, it sucked too because you're in a house with 14 guys, no women. You know, don't even get to look at a woman. The closest you get is on fight days when Brittany or Ariane like come in to do the cards, and they came in like the first fight, and then they come in for the second fight, and then that's it. They don't, like, you get excited about seeing them, and that's it. They don't come anymore because all they do is record them once and then use them in every single episode. So that pissed us off. But yeah, no, it was good. It was like best experience I've ever had in my life. Like to do with MMA. I got to train with Chael and meet that guy who's one of my idols. So you know, really, really good.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. You were on Team Sonnen. That must have been some experience just training with him.
I mean, before I went into the house, like I was a huge Chael Sonnen fan. I used to like try and emulate him in my interviews and all sorts of stuff. Like I loved the guy, and I was really hoping to get picked by him. But on the fights to get in the house, you know, you get like given a corner. You're not told, but for the fights to get in the house, I had John Jones in my corner, and like had John Wood, Frank Mir, and that all warming me up, and they were like really good to me. And John Jones was in there like trying to be inspirational, talking, you know. And I thought, you know, I wouldn't mind being on Team Jones. Like that's what I thought when I was there. And then, so I went there thinking I want to be on Team Sonnen. Had my fight, won with Jones in my corner, and I was like. So I wasn't happy either way, but when Chael picked me and as the series went on, I was really, really happy that I got on that side. So.
Is he like that all the time though, with this sort of, he's in charge of the mic, isn't he? He calls fighters out, and you know, he's got all the catchphrases, he's perfect for the camera. Is he like that off camera as well?
No, like he's the same guy, but like he just turns it up a couple of notches. You can see when Chael turns it on, like I can see it now. He'll be chatting away, and then all of a sudden, like his eyes glaze over, and he turns into Chael P. Sonnen. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's like one of the best guys I've met, like through the sport as a person, like just hanging out, and you know, he's done a lot for me since the show, you know, and you know, he's just a really genuinely good guy. And I think everyone in the sport, you know, the trash talking and all that, like anyone else you meet who knows Chael on a personal level, no one's got a bad word to say about him. So he's a really good guy.
So fighting for the UFC as well, could you describe that for us?
I mean, fighting in the UFC's come around a lot quicker than I thought it was going to, and it just when I fought in Vegas, you know, I fought Mandalay Bay, which is like a dream for every fighter. You know, you walk around, you speak to people, and that fight in Vegas in front of 15,000 people was crazy. But it's at the beginning of my journey now, so I'm looking forward to what it brings. Like being branded a UFC fighter is, you wake up every morning and you feel good about yourself because you're there, you know. But there's lots of guys out there better than me, as good as me, that could be there as well. It just so happens I am. So, you know, I'm happy about it, but I need to keep it alive, you know, keep the dream alive and keep winning. Like, I'm not content with the fact that I'm in the UFC. I want to be one of the best there is there, you know. So
what does the future hold for Luke Barnatt?
Well, hopefully my next fight's going to be in Manchester on the UFC UK. Like, I've asked for that. I'm waiting for them to confirm it, and you know, and just keep on winning. I want to stay undefeated, and you know, just keep pushing. Like, I think I've only been doing MMA for about 3.5 years. So in 3 years, I could be one of the best in the world. That's how I look at it, and that's what I'm aiming to do. Like, keep fighting, keep winning, and look to get into the top 10. You know, that's the plan.
And if you do get matched for the UFC in Manchester, what would that mean to bring the world's biggest MMA promotion back to England and you'd be fighting on it?
I mean, I said, like, I've been offered other fights in the UFC already, and I said I want to fight in England. I want to fight in the UFC in England in front of English fans, because I've had like all the fights in the Ultimate Fighter and my fight in Vegas have not been in the, it's not been in the UK. So I haven't had. It's been a long time since I fought in England, like a really long time, and I've got more invested interest, more fans now, and I just want to fight in front of them. So it'd be a big deal. I think it'll be a much bigger deal for me to fight in Manchester than it was to fight in Vegas. Like, I feel a lot better about it, and I want to fight, you know, for the UK. So, you know, give them someone else to believe in and to cheer for, you know. So it'd be good.
What about the amount of English or British fighters that have been cut from the UFC recently? Though, I mean, you're not worried about something like that happening?
Well, they were cutthroat, like getting rid of a lot of guys in the UFC from England. But I think, you know, that could work in my favour. I'm in the middleweight division, and there's obviously Bisping. You know, I don't know if he really counts as, you know, a guy from the UK because he's been around for so long. But there's me and there's Watson. So there's 3 guys from the UK in the middleweight division. That's like, I think it's the most English guys in one division in the UFC now. So, you know, yeah, I definitely have to be aware. They want, you know, I'm like the young guy up and coming. Watson's been around a long time, and Michael Bisping's in a different league. So, you know, I think I attract a different crowd, and I got the Ultimate Fighter behind me, which is a big deal. I think I've got some longevity in the UFC. Even if I lose a couple of fights, I think, you know, they'll keep me around. But I'm not thinking like that. I'm just thinking one fight at a time. You know, win this next fight, then think about the next fight, then think about the next fight. So it could be all right.
Is there anyone in particular you're looking at for the next fight?
For my next fight, you know, whoever I get. Like, looking forward to the future, you know, I want to fight Chris Camozzi. I want to fight Francis Camont. These are the sort of people I want to be fighting against, but, you know, I have to earn those shots. I have to earn those people. You know, Camozzi's coming off a fight against Jacare, and Francis Camont's he's 5-0 in the UFC. So, you know, they're the guys that I'm aiming towards and I want to be, and that's where I want to be in 2 years. Right now, I need to take whoever I'm given. You know, I'm 6-0. I'm very new to the sport. I'm brand new to the UFC. You know, I just want to fight. That's all I want to do.
And you've travelled a long way today to train at Next Gen MMA. And what's it been like training with guys like Jack Mason? Do you train with him?
I train with Jack a lot at home, yeah.
With Danny Roberts as well?
Danny actually came down to Tsunami like a few months back. I can't remember exactly when. And I trained with him before. And Danny's a great guy. You know, good to be around. My thing, you know, there's some fantastic guys in the UK that train really hard. But I think you have to enjoy your training and enjoy the people you're with. And, you know, Danny's one of those guys you can have a laugh with, have a crack with, and have fun. Obviously, I train with Jack all the time with BKK and with Tsunami, so they're great. I like to travel around. Now, that's one of the, you know, talking about the UFC earlier, that's one of the great things about being in the UFC is there's not many guys there. So if you say, oh, I want to come train, like, people want to train with you because you're in the UFC and you're not going to fight each other. So, like, tomorrow, hopefully, Leroy's going to be here, and I've wanted to train with Leroy for a long time, but, you know, a year ago, we might have been fighting, so it was like, but now it's like, yeah, don't worry about it, and we train, you know, so hopefully tomorrow will be a good time, and I'm looking forward to trying to get trained with as many people as I can, and get a lot of, you know, time in with good people, really.
Do you notice UFC potential in any of these guys that you want to travel around the country and train with, and Danny and Jack in particular? Do you think they're close to that kind of level? I
think Danny, you know, if he gets another impressive win on Cage Warriors, you know, I think he's on a 4-fight win streak, or this might be a 4-fight win streak for him, and he's had some impressive finishes. I think the UFC, Danny's a sort of product the UFC want. You know, he's young, he's athletic, he puts on good fights. I think the UFC will definitely be interested in him. I think he'll be 9-1 if he wins. Great records. So yeah, he could be for the October card, if not the next card. You know, I think Jack, you know, he's been around forever. He's had over 30 fights. You know, he's on a 5-fight win streak himself. So he's close, but I think Jack's further away than Danny just because of the youth thing. You know, like I'd love to see Jack in the UFC. He is probably the most talented and the most dedicated fighter I train with or have ever trained with. Like, puts more into the sport than anyone else I know. And, you know, if he strings together another 2 impressive wins, the UFC hopefully will come knocking. But he's got a, you know, I think he's 23-11. You know, I think that's his record. So he's got 11 losses. You know, he had a lot of early fights in his career that didn't go his way, and I just think it's tough now. It's tough. But yeah, I hope so. I hope we'll see him there. If not, take the Cage Warriors title, and then, you know, it's a big accomplishment in itself.
Another thing I'd like to ask is, I saw on Twitter when John Maguire lost in Canada, you said that something happened that someone who hadn't stepped in the cage wouldn't understand. I mean, can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. Twitter's a great example of it, but, you know, athletes in any sport that put everything into the sport, you know, they get a lot of hate for some reason, people love to hate. They love to send you a tweet saying you suck or you're a dick, or they love to do it. I don't know why. And I was cage side when John fought, and I trained with John. We went to Oregon. We both trained with Chael for 3 months leading up to that fight, and I saw John run through some top level lightweights. I mean, top 10 in the world. He trained with him, and he looked unbelievably good. And the guy was in the best physical shape I've ever seen him in. He was and I was so confident about the fight. And then that 24-hour period where you make weight and you step in a cage, if you've never done it before, like that can, John was better than that guy, Mitch Clark. He fought. John was a lot better than him, but he lost the fight because of, whatever happened on that day for John. And if you've never competed at a high level of of pressure and all the rest, he's fighting in the UFC and he was on this is his 3rd loss in a row, a lot of pressure, contractual pressure from us, wanting him to win and all that sort of stuff. It's hard to deal with, and if you've never had that situation in your life, it's easy to turn around and say, oh, that guy sucks. It's easy to say, oh, well, he's never going anywhere, but he's fucking brilliant. Sorry for the language, but he's good, and it pains me to hear people insult a guy who's put so much into the sport and so much into that one particular fight, and you only get to see him for that 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when the cage door does close with decision, you one with the guy in there. What does that feel like?
It's an intense situation to be in, but I mean, and most fighters would agree that's the reason we do it. The reason I do MMA is because it's hard. I don't do it because it's easy. I do it because it's challenging. I get to test myself in loads of different ways, and I could fail. Every fight you have, the other guy's trying to win too. And that's important to me, and I think that's what drives me to do better every time I fight. I handle pressure pretty well. I don't know why. I just have always done. My fight in the UFC, for instance, I was backstage warming up with Chael, like having a laugh, and Chael went, "You do realise you're fighting in like 20 minutes, right?" And I went, "Yeah, it'll be all right." Like, I don't know why, but I'm quite relaxed. That might change, John used to be like that. It might get different as you get older, or I don't know, but it's different for everyone.